All right, I am going to get started. We are making a roast chicken today, and I'm going to record this. I know nobody is on just yet, but as people come and go, you'll be able to see it, and then I'll make the video available at the end for those that want to watch it. So the first thing we're going to do is go through our ingredients. So to start with on the roast chicken, I've got what is this? I don't even know how many pounds this thing is. 5-pound chicken, just a Kroger whatever special. Salt and pepper. Because I'm limited on spices and I'm not really going to the grocery store if I can avoid it. I got this at the Spice Lab in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They do great stuff, so I'm going to use this to season the chicken. Again, my trusty garlic, tomato paste. I have an onion, and then carrots and celery. They didn't have any raw carrots, so I went with these, and then we'll chop them up. And then I'm also going to cut up some more of the chives that I used from the other night just to kind of help get rid of them and then add some more flavor. We're going to cook the chicken in the Dutch oven. This is a 26. Don't ask me how many ounces or servings it is. It's kind of one of the middle sizes. But basically what we're going to do is once we get the chicken prepped and ready and seasoned, it'll go in here and we'll brown it on all sides, get it all ready, take it out, saute all the vegetables once I get them chopped, and then we'll put them back in here and we'll put them in the oven. I'm going to go ahead and set the oven to 400. And everything will be in here. Chicken will go back in here. We'll put it in the oven for about 45 minutes. And then at the end of the 45 minutes, we'll take the lid off, leave it in the oven, and that'll allow that skin on the top and everything to get nice and crispy. So what I'm going to do is we'll just kind of do this in two parts. So the first part will just be the prep and getting everything in the oven. And then the second part is going to be when I take it out of the oven so you can see what it looks like. And then that'll be it. Nick, Kelly, Donna, Jeff, hi, how are you doing, Donna? Ashley, Indiana, good to see you. Lacey, good to see you as well. Nick, always a pleasure. Glad you're here. So let's go ahead and get started. Since I'm doing this by myself and I don't have a good camera mount, I'm just going to talk to you guys while I chop up my vegetables. So first thing I'm going to do is take care of this onion. Let me grab another bowl. That way we can put all this stuff in there. On the onions and the vegetables, we're just doing a rough chop. They're mostly going to cook down. I'm going to use the sauce after we're done for a gravy and whatnot. Dave Yaden, good to see you, man. It's been 20-something years, I think. Jen, how are you? Shannon, welcome. Hope everybody's doing well and hope everybody had a good Easter. Get this onion peeled here. I'm looking at a couple of options for a camera mount so that hopefully down the road, if I continue doing this, I had a lot of people reach out, really liked what I did on the other one. You'll be able to see kind of what's going on, so I'll be able to get a better perspective as opposed to you guys just staring at my cell phone, looking at me while I'm trying to do all this work. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, Nick. I just moved in right before all this coronavirus bullshit, whatever stuff happened, which is nice. It's the biggest place that I could find for my budget. I travel a lot for work normally, so I didn't want to buy a house and then be gone most of the time. So this way I have my own office and a guest room so that if anyone comes to visit, we've got plenty of space for you. Plus, it has a parking garage so that days like yesterday and today, when we get those spring thunderstorms, I don't have to worry about my vehicle. It just stays in the garage. All right, so that's done. And again, when we chop the celery, everything's a rough chop, so we're only going to go, a few inches, just enough to kind of break it down, make it easy to manage. Do you guys use that shopping service? Deanna, this garlic is the best because it's, regular garlic is smelly and gets all over your hands, and it's hard to get out of your hands when you're washing them. This way, it's already cut, ready to go. You just spoon out what you need. I don't know if you guys use a shopping service. I ordered my groceries on Shipt for the first time, and it worked all right, other than I asked for, raw, unprocessed vegetables, which I guess that's what I got. I was a little disappointed. Some of the stuff I got I couldn't keep because it was already looking funky, and I didn't trust it. I'm ready to go do my own grocery shopping when this is all over. What's up, Mariah? Hey, buddy. How you doing, buddy? Uncle Paul, how are you? All right, I'm almost done chopping these carrots. And basically everything's going in the big pot, and then I'll process the chicken, and you'll see what I'm going to do there. I don't have any potatoes because the shopper forgot my potatoes, and that was something else that I wanted to put on the menu to cook in the pot, because usually you get the small potatoes, new potatoes or whatever. They cook down really nicely in the bottom, and they make for a good side dish. So we'll settle for onion, celery, carrots. I believe they call that a mirepoix. Is that right? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. All right, let's get the chives in there. And they're just mostly for flavor. They'll cook down to pretty well nothing by the time this is all done, but they'll leave a nice flavor and everything. And give me just a second. I don't want to cut a finger off. When these knives were brand new, I think I cut my finger 3 times the first week, 2 of which actually were probably deep enough that they required stitches. So definitely need to concentrate on this. But these are some of the best knives. They're Schuns, however you say it. All right, that's ready. We're going to throw these scraps in the sink. Okay, so a couple things. I'm going to process this chicken. Happy Easter, Shannon. Glad you made it on. And then I'm going to talk about glove use, because I've seen a lot of people wearing gloves around town and doing stupid stuff. In fact, at the beginning of March, I was in San Diego, and on my way home, this very animated woman was wearing her gloves on the plane, and she was touching everything, including her mask, because she had a mask on. She was touching the inside of her mask, the outside of her mask, her hair, the table, the tray. Pretty much if she could, it was there. And then as soon as the flight got going and we had our food service, she was with her gloves eating her pretzels, and they couldn't understand why I kept laughing at her. The world is just full of, it takes all types, right? The world is just full of people. So if you're going to use gloves because of the coronavirus, it's not a substitution for washing your hands. And I can say this with a level of authority because my sister's a doctor and my brother's a paramedic. So we've had this conversation at home. The best way to treat gloves and all this, if you're going to use them, treat it as though you're working with chicken. So I put the gloves on, I'm going to process the chicken, and I even have a separate knife as opposed to the vegetable knife because I don't want to do any cross-contamination. So once I get this all processed, cleaned up, and dressed and in the pot, then I'll take my gloves off. And I'll be careful not to touch anything else because, again, you don't want to get this juice chicken everywhere. So I'm going to cut this over the sink and not going to do a whole lot to it, but we are going to pat it dry. Everything ready, so I have my paper towels here. And let's get to cutting. So I have some people that ask about rinsing your chicken or not rinsing your chicken. The thing with rinsing your chicken is if you're not careful, you can splash chicken guts all over. And so you definitely don't want to do that. Hey, Sarah, how are you? What's up, Larry? Chuck? Chuck, I didn't realize that your kids and I share the same alma mater. Whoops, I think that's pretty awesome. Sorry, guys. I just dropped this in the sink. So we're going to work all the guts out of there because this one still has it. And again, I dropped the whole cutting board in the sink. There we go. This isn't working. There we go. That's better. So I'm just trimming up the extra skin and fat on the stuff that we don't need. Pulling the giblets out. I don't really care for those, but if you do, you could cook them, fry them, save them, put them in a stock, whatever you want to do. All right, so I've got that where I want it. So we're just going to pat everything down. Get the cavity cleaned out. So there we go. And then everything that gets contaminated, like the paper towels and all that, it'll go in the sink. And then when I get ready to clean up, then I'll move it to the trash. But this way I'm not collecting juice and spreading it out all over the kitchen. All right, let's clean this cutting board up a little bit. Everybody have a good Easter today? I hope. All right, so the chicken has been patted dry and it is back on the cutting board. Now the first change out, I'm going to take the gloves off. All the junk is inside of them. We'll throw those away. Now I have clean hands still. And we're going to take some olive oil. And coat the bottom of the pan. There you go. So I cook with a lot of this cast iron enamelware. And the thing about this is when you heat it up on medium low to medium heat. You don't ever crank it on high unless you're boiling water. And so we'll keep it up there. This stuff is great. It cleans up real easy. It's not nonstick, but if you take your time and heat it up gradually and then use the proper oil or butter or whatever it is that you're cooking, it'll hold up very well. And in fact, I'll show you how big of a freak I am when it comes to this stuff. So this is all of my Le Creuset stuff. I'm going to do a recipe in this here soon. This is called a tagine. It's actually pretty cool. I'll do chicken thighs, and other Moroccan-style dishes. Okay, so that's in there. That's heating up. The oven is on, and it is at 400 degrees, so it is ready to go. When we're ready to go, I'm going to put a different pair of gloves on now because I'm going to season the chicken. And I'm going to do kind of the wet hand, dry hand. So I'm going to put one glove on, and then the other one will be used for all the spices and seasonings. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this with some olive oil. Just to kind of help everything stay on it. Then turn it over. Get everything a nice, good coat. All right, so we're going to hit it with a little bit of salt and pepper. So very important that you guys check your salt content. So if you're ever buying any pre-mixed seasonings, some of these will have a ton of salt in them. The stuff that I get from the Spice Lab is relatively low salt, which is good because then I can regulate how much salt I want or I don't want. Otherwise, these things are so salty, you don't pay attention, then you add your salt. Now you're putting way too much salt in your food. And this is rosemary roasted garlic. is the seasoning. And it has rosemary, onion, garlic, red bell pepper, paprika, lemon peel. It does have a little bit of sugar in it, but not much. It smells like Thanksgiving. So we're going to give that a nice coat. Then we're going to flip it over. Add some more salt and pepper. There we go. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, Shannon, we had church on TV also. I was able to catch the vigil service last night. One interesting thing is that, you're used to going to your home parish for service. However, because this is going on, nobody's going to their home parish. You're able to find different churches. So I was able to attend or watch a service from St. Bridget's in Tahlequah, which is where I went to college. My sister's church in Norman, St. Thomas More. There's a church in Aggieville that I like. I enjoy watching their service. Mass in Harrisonville, I was able to watch that one weekend. So I'm able to kind of just see some different places that I've been and I've experienced. So I thought they were pretty cool. Okay, so this has been seasoned. And I'll show you that. So that's what it looks like. So what we're going to do is, now that this is heated up, we're going to put this in and just brown it on all sides. And then we'll take it out, we'll add our vegetables, we'll saute them, and then we'll put everything in together. So I am going to set the camera right there. We're going to grab the chicken. And careful not to drip. We'll bring it over here, just set it right inside, and then we'll leave this flow. We're ready to go. Clean hands. And you can hear that thing just sizzling. So we're going to let it go just for a little bit on each side. When we get ready to flip it, we're just going to kind of roll it over until we get a good brown on each side, and I'll just use that to roll it over. And while that's cooking, I'm going to get another platter to put this on so that when we take it out to saute the vegetables, we got a place to hold it. How much garlic should we add? I think I'm going to do a spoonful. A teaspoon is about 1 clove or a little bit less. So we'll do, that looks like about 3 teaspoons. I'll just drop it right on there. The garlic is the best part. All right, let's rotate this bad boy. There we go. And I still have it on medium-low because I don't want it to get too hot, don't want to burn the oil. I'm just simply putting just kind of cooking the outside of it. And remember, we're going to cook this for the last 15 minutes open so that the top gets really nice and crispy. So I'm not really worried about that at this point. I'm just trying to get a sear on it. So there you go. You can see just barely a little bit of a sear on it. And then, of course, I turn the heat up to medium, and then we'll continue moving it around until we get all 4 sides covered. And we'll do that. That way the steam can release, but we're still getting a good cook on it. Hey, Aunt Bernie. Hope you're doing good today. Shannon, you and Isaac are welcome anytime. All right, I'm going to give this thing a turn again. Bernie, have you done a chicken in your Dutch oven yet? So the thing about cast iron is it gets hot, so you got to be ready to go. Thanks, Aunt Deanna. I made the decision about 2 to 3 years ago that I didn't want to have any pans with like a chemical coating or a Teflon on them. So I started one by one just replacing the different pots that I have with this. Learned to cook with it, so that low temperature cooking, and I find that it doesn't take any longer to cook. And if you do it right, the stuff stays nonstick. You don't have any issues. All right, we've hit all sides, and it's not crispy, but it does have a little bit of a sear on it. So I'm going to set this down. We're going to take the chicken out and start on the vegetables. So into the pot goes all that. So what I have in here are onions, celery, carrots, garlic, and some chives just for added flavor. No, they're not. They're French. Le Creuset is a French company. And these things will last a lifetime. So you can see everything's kind of a rough chop because the chicken's going to sit right on top of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start mixing everything around, giving it a chance to soak up some of the flavor, the fawn on the bottom of the pan. You can see the onions are starting to come apart, which is what you want. So we'll let that sit there and cook. And I am going to get a little bit of water. If you have stock, any vegetable stock, beef stock, chicken stock, you could pour it in to add liquid. I don't have any of that. There's enough flavoring in the oil and the vegetables that I add, and of course we'll be cooking the chicken on top, and that fat will render down. So what I'm going to do is just not worry about it. I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the bottom of the pan to get it moving, and then I also will add my tomato paste. All right. So we're going to add 1 cup of water. continue letting that cook. And then we're going to eyeball about a tablespoon of the tomato sauce or the tomato paste. We're just going to keep moving that around. All this stuff is going to soften and render. And so we'll be left with that juice there at the bottom, which will then I'll turn into a gravy or, a pan sauce, if you will. All right. That looks like about a tablespoon. And that's going to add some acidity, a ton of flavor. You can see that the sauce is even getting nice and dark. So we're going to let that go just a little bit longer. And just keep stirring that up. Make sure we get all the bits off the bottom because we want that sauce to be just right. All right, so we'll give that about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to put the other stuff on top of it. So what I kept dropping, I had this cutting board laying across the sink, and it kept sliding forward. I need to have my dad or borrow his wood shop so I can put a cutting board up here that will actually stay up here. All right, how's this looking here? Turn the heat up just a little bit to get that cooking. Anybody get messed up with the thunderstorms? Mark, I know you're kind of in the path of the stuff down in the southeast. Aunt Suzanne, I know you are also. Hope you guys stay safe. They don't last long, but they're pretty wicked when they blow through. At least they were here in Texas. Just trying to get caught up on any of the comments. Stacy, welcome. How are you? How's Colorado treating you? Yeah, Mark, it's definitely headed your way, so keep an eye on it. I can't remember exactly where you're at, but I know you're down there in the deep south. So keep your head on a swivel. Who's ready to start traveling again? Mark, I know you, like me, you travel a lot for a living. I'm ready to get back on the road. I'm running out of stuff to do, except making these videos for you guys, so hopefully you like them. All right, so that's come up to a boil, which is good. Yeah, it was windy here, Shannon, and I don't know if I'm talking to Shannon or Isaac, but it was windy here, and it was definitely windy in Oklahoma from what my parents said. All right, so we're going to drop this chicken right on top and put the lid back on. Yeah, I was supposed to be in New Zealand in May because that's where my new company is based out of. And they put a stop to all that. All right, I'm going to throw this in the oven. You're right. So that's it. I put the lid on it. Temperature's at 400. And we're going to set a timer for 45 minutes. So there we go. Sauteing that up made my oven a little nasty. Hey, Isaac. Isaac, I like the gym. You've been crushing it, man. I've been seeing your posts. I think that's awesome. Keep up the good work. One of these days, I'll be ready to buy a new truck from you. The chicken is a 5-pound chicken. And it's like I said, I had one of those shoppers that from a company called Shipt, where they go to the grocery store, they shop your list and they drop it off. Definitely not worth it. I would probably just go get my own groceries, to be honest with you, but I wanted to try it to see how it worked. Oh, Shannon, you are on as well. Well, good. Well, guys, this is in there. I'm not going to keep you for 45 minutes. But if you want to check back in, I'm going to do another live video when I open it up. And then, of course, we'll do one when we take it out. And I'll show you a little bit about how I cut it. Everyone has their own little take on it, but people want to see that. So I'll show you that as well. So, guys, hang in there, and we'll catch you back here in about 45 minutes. Thanks. All right, we are back. The chicken is done. I've taken it out of the oven and letting it rest for a minute. So the first thing I want to do now that I have it out and cooling is I'm going to strain out the vegetables so I can have the vegetables and the stock separate, because I'm going to use the stock to make a gravy. Normally, I would do this with cornstarch. However, I don't have any cornstarch. So I've got equal parts fat and flour, so 2 tablespoons of each. I'll use that to make the roux, and then we'll add the stock or the juices back into the pot once that's done so that we can make the gravy. And then we'll plate it up. So without further ado, we'll take this first and get it ready. Look at that bad boy right there. Skin is nice and darkened up. You can see it's pulled off of the legs a little bit. That tells me that it's ready. All of the vegetables down there have rendered in. So we're just going to get a hold of this thing, drain the juices out so we don't make too big of a mess. And that's good enough. So we'll just set that dude right there to chill for a minute, and we'll come back and carve him up. Look at all that stuff. So I'm going to get my ladle. And we're going to run everything through this strainer just so we get the big bits out. Because that's what we're going to use for our gravy. Now, if you're making a white gravy, you would just use milk, but because this is a chicken gravy, we're going to use stock. And like I said, if you have potatoes, if you're eating potatoes, this is what, you'd have your potatoes in here, and then you could, cover them with your gravy when you make it. I'm going to turn the camera around. There we go. Hey, everybody. Hey, Abby, what's going on? Lauren, Donna, welcome back. Those veggies out. Hey, Candy, how are you? That's perfect. We got that sauce in there. Hey, happy Easter to you too, Abby. Hope you guys are having a good day at home. All right. So before I carve this up, I'm going to start making the gravy, and you guys can follow me Nate, how are you doing, buddy? All right, so step one is to melt the butter. And then we'll do the flour, which is right there. And we'll give that just a minute. I have to find my whisk. Has ran away. All right, so I've got the heat on medium just to kind of help get that all dissolved in there. And I've got plenty to cook, or I've made plenty so that I'll have plenty to eat over the week. So I'll probably get 3 meals out of this. So I'm going to make a bigger batch of gravy than I normally would. The important thing is you start out with the equal parts of fat and flour. And again, if you're making a white gravy for like biscuits and gravy, same thing. Tablespoon of butter, tablespoon of flour, whisk it all in. And then as you melt it, you make your roux. And then you add your milk to that. All right, so that's just about ready. So in goes our flour. And keep our heat down around medium to medium low. And then what you're looking for on the flour is once you get it all incorporated, you see how it just kind of gels up like that? So I'm going to turn the heat all the way down to low, but you can see we're melting the flour. It's turning into that kind of soft, almost like a paste. And don't worry about the bits on the bottom. We'll pull all those in when we add the roux back in. So I've got that on low. Don't want it to burn. I am going to strain the fat from the juice, and you can kind of see that, how it's separated there. That's from the chicken pot. So we'll drop the strainer in there. I don't get to use this very often because I think it's kind of chintzy, but we're going to give it a shot. So we'll let that just resettle. In the meantime, we'll keep moving this around because we don't want it to burn. It's starting to burn a little bit on the bottom, but we're going to be all right. There we go. So we're going to just let that cook, and it will thicken up for us pretty quick. Again, we've got our heat on absolutely low, and we're going to add a little bit of salt to this and a little bit of black pepper. Always do your salt first, because inevitably you'll get black pepper in your salt and you'll see all the flakes in your salt container. Hey Siri, how are you? So you can see that's already starting to thicken up. So we're going to let that keep thickening up. And chicken is right there resting, so we'll carve that up here in just a minute. And then, of course, you can see all the bits of garlic and spices and seasoning there in the vegetables. So when we go to plate that up, we'll pour the gravy over the top. It'll be great. Welcome back, Shannon and Isaac. I'm starving. I waited too long to start this little cooking process, so I'm ready to eat. All right, so we're going to kick the heat up a little bit on this one, see if we can bring it to a simmer and further reduce the sauce into a perfect gravy. And then we'll plate it up. Everybody ready to work from home tomorrow? For those of us that work from home, Those of you that go to work and are essential, be safe. Hope you have a good day tomorrow. It's always tough going back in after a holiday. I guess now it doesn't really matter because everything's so low key, but still, I know that in a normal situation after spending time with my family, you don't want to say goodbye and go home and all that stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully this thing subsides. I'm due for a fishing trip like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, Siri, I love these pans. They hold up so well. I mean, even this stuff right here, you soak this in a little bit of soap and water, it's going to come right off of there. You'll be able to scrub it clean. It'll look brand new. So we're getting close there. What we want is we want to make sure that we can coat the back of a spoon. And so you can see we're still a little bit runny, but we are getting thicker. And again, if you like your gravy on the thinner side, you can do that. If you like it thicker, you can do that as well. Yeah, 4 days is a little bit tough. Nice. What year Land Rover are you moving? If you guys are in the Kansas area and you're looking to buy a vehicle, my cousin Isaac works at Marshall Motors in Salina, Kansas. I would definitely encourage you to give him a call. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and he'll work his butt off for you to put you in a car. So Isaac, there's my uncompensated plug for you. No, really though, he's good at what he does. He enjoys working with people to help you find your car. Super easy to work with, straight shooter through and through. 2016 Land Rover. Nice. That's a fun car. Somebody's going to enjoy that. Okay, so now that it's up to boil, turn the heat off. The pan's going to hold plenty of heat, so I don't have to worry about it. Flip the camera around so you can see what I'm doing here. So it's still thickening up. I don't want it too thick, so we'll let it go just a little bit longer. And while that's thickening up, I'm going to go ahead and start processing this chicken. All right, you guys can see me. There's no easy way for me to do this, so I'm just going to do the best I can. Can you guys see the chicken okay? Pro tip, if you watch anybody on YouTube that does barbecue or anything like that, I've got a knit glove because the chicken's very hot. And I'm going to throw a rubber glove over the top. That way it doesn't get all nasty. All right, there we go. So now I can work with this chicken. I'm not going to burn my hands. I've got my knife already cleaned from earlier. So there's a couple of things people can do. People talk about slicing it right off of here. If you're carving a turkey, you could come in here and carve individual slices. I mean, it's really whatever you're more comfortable doing. I like to remove the pieces and then trim them up as we go. I'm forgetting a plate. So I have a plate here. Check on this. That's still looking good. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these drumsticks off. And it's pretty tender. All you're going to do is just kind of find the bone where it separates and then just cut it off like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. So all I'm doing is just making a slice right there. And it's kind of rolling it out till that joint pops itself off. And then cutting in behind the joint. And that's all you have to do. So there's 2 drumsticks. The wings will pull right out. So there's the first part of the wing, and then I'll cut the other part out when I flip it upside down. We'll do the same thing here. That wing just comes right off. Didn't even have to cut it. Now you can do from here, you can do the thighs and just go in here and cut right along there. You'll find the joint is back in here. You can kind of wiggle around and feel it. I'm going to take the breast off first because I don't want to get these I don't want to go too far and then the chicken doesn't get stable. So let me flip that back around. This way I've got a good solid surface to cut on. So here's the bone there on the top. I have done the spatchcocked. If you don't know what spatchcocked is, that's where you cut the backbone out and then you lay it flat. If I'm doing a quick roast where I'm just basically throwing it in the oven, I'll do that. Or if I'm throwing it on the grill, spatchcocked chicken on the grill comes out really nice. So there's a bone that comes in. Once you cut that off, you kind of work your way down around the wishbone and just take your time, kind of pulling the meat apart as you go. You'll find that wishbone, and I'm just going to pull this off. There we go. So there's a little bit of a bone here. We're going to take that off. There we go. So here you can see just, took the one breast off, and you can go through and pick some of that meat off. There's plenty of good meat still in there, but it just doesn't carve out really well. So that's off. Now I'm going to just take my knife, and I like to cut it up in the little medallion slices. And there we go. Man, I can't wait to eat this. We're going to grab these here, move them to the plate. And then I'm going to grab the other breast portion here. And we're going to just trim it off just the same way. Paying attention to that one little bone that tends to catch you right there. We'll cut this back. There we go. And I'm trying to leave as much of the cartilage and that other crap that I don't really need in my chicken, or that I'm not going to eat. So there we go. We're going to cut that little bit of cartilage off. There we go. Get that out of the way. And then we have another really nice piece, very moist and tender, or juicy and tender, whatever your thoughts are on how you want to describe that. It's a family channel. Gravy's fine. I turned the heat off. It's perfect. Have a little faith in me, Abby. Come on now, you're killing me. I'm just kidding. No, it's good. Heat's off, and it's just slowly thickening up. It's probably about where it's going to be. All right, so that's all trimmed up. Put that right there. There we go. There we go. Now we're going to take the thighs off. So you can feel the thigh goes all the way. What's up there, Big Daddy Kurt? How you doing? So the thighs go all the way up into here. And if you move it around, you can feel. So there's the bone from finger to thumb. So I'm going to just trim that out, pull the bone out. That dark meat's going to be awesome. I'm going to do that on both sides. And then for an extra treat, if you've ever watched them on the cooking channel, there's a little piece of meat right in here called the oyster muscle. Right there, that's the oyster. And you can tell because it fits right into that pocket. Super tender, flavorful piece of meat. So I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of these thighs off. Come on, guys, don't stress about the gravy. There's nothing wrong with the gravy. The gravy is doing just fine. All right, so there's one thigh. And then we're going to grab the other one. And really, you could stick your hand in there and just kind of pull it out because it just comes right off of that, right out of that joint. And then again, if you look, there's that extra oyster muscle right there. Take that off. That's the chef's piece, if you will. So if you're cooking this at home, you could grab that. There's a little bit more in the chicken leg here, so we can peel those out. I think I can do it one-handed maybe. Right there, got the bone. Well, I can peel the bone out, but I can't quite get the meat, but we'll just peel the meat off. So when you're done, you could actually come through here. There's a whole bunch of meat. Sorry about that. There's a whole bunch of meat that you can pull off of this that would be great in chicken salad or anything like that. So definitely we're not done with this. I'm not going to make a stock or anything with this, but if you were, put this in the freezer till you're ready, throw it in a pan, pot, boil it up. It's all gravy. All right. So I'm going to move this aside. And I don't need this anymore. Set that there, and I don't need that anymore. For those of you that are worried about the gravy, perfect. It's as thick as I want it to be. And if we stick the spoon in there, you can see how thick it is, how it keeps the spoon nice and coated. And you kind of see I drew a line through it, and it's staying where it's supposed to be at. So we know that sauce is ready to go. We'll give it a taste. So good. I'm going to add just a touch more salt. Give that a whisk. And then we'll plate this thing up. And then I'm going to tell you guys to have a good night because I'm going to eat. That's good stuff. Let me grab a plate. So I have my plate here. I'm going to grab some white meat and throw a thigh on there. And I'm going to grab one of those oyster mussels. Let's get my veggies. So carrots and celery, just going to stick that on the side. And you guys are waiting for the good stuff here. Let me get the gravy ready. Look at that right there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And we're just going to coat the chicken, throw a little bit on the veggies. And that's it. Hey, God bless. Happy Easter. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And continue saying your prayers for a quick and a steadfast resolution to COVID-19. Do your part. Stay home. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. And think of everybody on the front line. My sister is still seeing patients. My brother is working at the fire department as a paramedic. So, I ask that you keep them and everybody on the front lines in your prayers, including all of the priests and ministers that are administering last rites and stuff, because they too are also at risk. So happy Easter, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.